Welcome to this 1-hour English fluency masterclass where you are going to improve all areas of your English. Of course, I'm Jennifer from JForrest English. Now let's get started. First, in this masterclass, you're going to improve your listening skills of fast English. Let's get started. Today, you're going to improve your listening skills by testing your listening skills. I'm going to say a sentence 3 times and you need to write down exactly what you hear in the comments. And this test will progress from beginner A1 to more advanced C1. Let's get started. I'll say it 3 times. I got a lot on my plate. I got a lot on my plate. I got a lot on my plate. Did you get this one? I said, I got a lot on my plate. Now, native speakers pronounce this as gotta. I got a lot on my plate. The expression is to have a lot on one's plate. Have you heard this? It's very common. When you have a lot on your plate, it means you're very busy. You have many different tasks to complete. Now notice in my spoken expression, I used got. I got a lot on my plate. I got a lot on my plate. Because native speakers commonly replace have with got in spoken English in a casual, informal way. But in written English or more formal professional English, it's best to use have. So let's see some examples. I could say, give the project to Isabel. Amar already has a lot on his plate. Now, of course, our verb is have, so you need to conjugate it with the subject and time reference. In this case, Amar, third person singular. Amar has in the present simple. And notice, Amar has a lot on his plate because the expression requires a possessive, his plate. We also use this expression to talk about a time we were busy in the past. So you have to conjugate that verb. We had a lot on our plate because the subject is we. So now I need our plate. And then you can use a past simple time reference. Last week with the conference.
I got a lot on my plate right now.
I just got a lot on my plate.
Hey, I got a lot on my plate.
Let's try this again. I'll say it 3 times. I'm thinking of taking up sewing. I'm thinking of taking up sewing. I'm thinking of taking up sewing. How'd you do? I said, I'm thinking of taking up sewing. Take up is our phrasal verb. And notice I pronounced it as one, taking up, because the preposition belongs to the verb. Native speakers may drop that taking, that G sound, and it sounds more like taken. But then you have to connect the preposition, taken up. I'm thinking of taking up sewing. You may hear that. And did you get sewing? Because of course the pronunciation is the same as sew. There's no sewing though, adding an ing. So sewing is the activity, but the pronunciation is the same as the word sew. Let's talk about this phrasal verb. When you take up an activity or a hobby, it simply means start. And this is one of the reasons that students, you don't understand native speakers because our vocabularies are filled with phrasal verbs, idioms, and expressions like this one. So remember our last expression, I have a lot on my plate. Let's combine these together. I'd love to take up sewing, but I already have so much on my plate at work. Of course, take is a verb, so you need to conjugate it. I could say Max took up guitar last year and he's already amazing. What about you? Are you thinking of taking up? Notice you need that gerund, thinking of taking up. Are you thinking of taking up a new activity or hobby? Share that in the comments below.
We'll take up yoga or jogging, or, we'll be organized.
Taking up dressmaking?
Yeah, I am.
Well, Mrs. B and I did take up synchronized swimming.
Let's try a more advanced test. I'll say it 3 times. Have you nailed down the dates yet? Have you nailed down the dates yet? Have you nailed down the dates yet? I said, have you nailed down the dates yet? And the reason why this is more advanced is because I'm using an expression you may not be familiar with. For pronunciation, I said have you, but a lot of native speakers reduce you to just a ya, have ya, have ya nailed. So you might hear that. Now nailed, notice in the past simple that ed is a very soft D, nailed, nailed. But we have nailed down. So because I have a D sound on down and these two go together, I'll pronounce it as one and you'll only hear one D sound, nailed down, nailed down. So it's pronounced exactly the same as nail down, but if you say it together, that D is used for both. Same with dates yet. Notice how that S blends into the Y for yet, dates yet. And it sounds like one word, dates yet, dates yet. The phrasal verb here is to nail something down. And that's when you firmly establish or confirm something. So just think of it as 100% confirmed. I could say I'm not signing the contract until we nail down the terms. Once the terms are nailed down, they're 100% confirmed. So you can think of them as official. So then I'm comfortable signing the contract. In a more everyday context, you might say, let's nail down our vacation plans by the end of the week. And once your plans are nailed down, they're 100% confirmed, so you can get excited about your vacation. Now notice my question, have you nailed down the dates yet? What verb tense is that? It's the present perfect. And I'm using the present perfect because this is an unfinished timeline. If the person says no, it's still possible for them to nail down the dates, to confirm the dates, because it's unfinished. To reply, you can say no, not yet, because we use yet with the present perfect. No, I haven't nailed down the dates yet. Or you could say, yes, I nailed down the dates, past simple, to show a completed past action. Or you could say, yes, I have nailed down the dates. This is the present perfect. It's a completed past action with a result in the present.
Once we nail down our mission.
I'm just nailing down the specifics.
I'll nail it down this week.
Let's do one more, even more advanced. I'll say it 3 times. You can't dodge his calls forever. You can't dodge his calls forever. You can't dodge his calls forever. Did you get this one? I said you can't dodge his calls forever. Now notice can't. In spoken English, I'm not going to pronounce that hard can't with the T. You can't dodge. Notice here, the D is silent, the middle D, dodge, dodge. Dodge his calls forever. Now, what does dodge mean? To dodge. This is when you purposely avoid or ignore. So he's calling, but I'm not answering. I'm purposely ignoring it. I'm dodging his call. So to you, I might say you can't dodge speaking in public forever. You can't purposely avoid it or ignore the activity. At some point, you just have to do it. Now notice I use dodge speaking because you can dodge something, his call, or you can dodge doing something. So the verb in ing, dodge speaking. We sometimes use this in a more positive way. I might say, great job dodging that question. So maybe you were asked an inappropriate question in an interview or a meeting, but then you strategically avoided answering that question. So I might say, great job dodging that question.
She's dodging calls.
Why have you been dodging my calls?
She's dodging my phone calls.
Now let's do an imitation exercise. I'm going to say each sentence again 3 times, but I'm going to leave enough time for you to repeat the sentence out loud and imitate my pronunciation. Let's do that now. I got a lot on my plate. I got a lot on my plate. I got a lot on my plate. I'm thinking of taking up sewing. I'm thinking of taking up sewing. I'm thinking of taking up sewing. Have you nailed down the dates yet? Have you nailed down the dates yet? Have you nailed down the dates yet? You can't dodge his calls forever. You can't dodge his calls forever. You can't dodge his calls forever. Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, the movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson. Amazing job. Now, of course, you're here because you want to feel confident starting and having conversations in English. Well, now I'm going to share 22 essential small talk phrases that you need to know. Let's get started. First of all, you might be wondering, what is small talk? Small talk is polite conversation about unimportant and uncontroversial topics. Remember, unimportant. Small talk is supposed to be boring. Now, when can you make small talk? First of all, notice I said you make small talk. That's the verb you use, make small talk. I learned how to make small talk today. So let's talk about when you make small talk. Maybe you get to a meeting early and there are 3 to 5 minutes before the meeting starts. Perfect time to make small talk. You're in the elevator with a coworker or someone you don't know. Or maybe you're waiting in line at the grocery store or the bank. Or a perfect time when you sit down beside a stranger. Like when you sit down on a plane and you're going to be sitting next to that person for 5 hours. You can make small talk. Let's talk about why you should make small talk. This will help you understand why it's supposed to be boring. Because small talk is just to fill silence. So if your elevator ride takes 30 seconds, you can go down 30 seconds in silence, or you can have 30 seconds of a boring conversation with your coworker or a stranger. The choice is yours. It's also to make the other person feel more comfortable. If you sit down on that plane and you're going to be sitting beside this other person for 5 hours, simply exchanging a few words will make both of you feel more comfortable. So now let's talk about all the phrases that you need to make small talk just like a native speaker. The first category is the weather. Nothing is more boring than talking about the weather, so it's the perfect topic for small talk. Now, because we work virtually now and you have members of your team all over the world, you can say, what's the weather like in Toronto today? Assuming you're not in Toronto. So you can ask them, oh, what's the weather like in your city today? Now, don't worry about writing down any of these phrases because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. You can make a simple statement like, beautiful day, isn't it? That's a great one with a stranger when you're going in an elevator. Beautiful day, isn't it? Notice you're adding isn't it as a question tag. You could say, I hear it's supposed to rain this weekend. So it's supposed to, that's in the future. Oh, I hear it's supposed to rain tonight, tomorrow, the next day, in the weekend, next month, any future reference. You can make a general statement, I'm really looking forward to spring. And the other person will likely say, yeah, me too. It's been such a long winter. I know, right? And then you just naturally have a boring conversation about the weather. Another simple statement, looks like another hot weekend. And then again, just like before, yeah, doesn't it? What are you going to do? And then you can naturally start talking about the weather, or you can transition into the weekend, which we will learn about in just a second. One final expression for you. This one is a question. Is it still snowing? Now you can use this one if you have been in the office or inside and you're asking someone and you know they were just outside, or you might not know, but you're assuming that they've been outside. Is it still snowing? Is it still raining? Is it still cloudy? Is it still sunny? And then obviously you use whatever weather is appropriate for the specific time. Another boring category that everyone loves talking about, traffic. Just ask your coworker or that stranger in the elevator, how was the traffic? How was the traffic coming in this morning, leaving, whatever the time of day is? Now, if you know the person takes a specific route, then you could ask them, did you get stuck in the traffic on Main Street too? Because you know your coworker or the person you're talking to had to take Main Street. Now, even if this is a stranger, but you're at the airport, so they have to take a certain road to get to the airport, so you can still use this with strangers. You can make a simple statement like, the bus was 20 minutes late today. So you don't need a car to use these. You can use whatever method of transportation that you use. Another question for you. Do you know when? And then ask something traffic related. Do you know when the bridge is supposed to be fixed? And this is a bridge that the person you're talking to will 100% know is under construction. Again, this could be with a stranger because to get to the airport, you have to go over a bridge. Now, keep in mind when you're making small talk, you don't actually care about the answer. Remember, that's not the goal. The goal isn't to find out when the bridge is going to be fixed. The goal is simply to have a boring conversation, to fill time, to kill time, and to make the other person feel comfortable. Our next category, topical events. A topical event is simply something that people are talking about right now. It could be a holiday, a sports event, it could be a new movie, something on the news. It's topical, people are talking about it. So if it's the time of year of the Olympics, or just before, just after, and you're sitting next to a stranger on the train, you could just ask them, oh, what's your favorite Olympic sport? And the question will seem normal and natural because everyone is talking about the Olympics. Or if it's award season, you could ask, who do you think will win Best Actor? If it's a holiday, a major holiday, you could ask them, are you staying in New York for Christmas? Or you could ask another question related to that holiday. Around Thanksgiving in North America, everyone buys a turkey. So it would seem extremely appropriate to ask someone, even a stranger, have you bought your turkey yet? And it could turn into a really interesting conversation because they might have a story about it, or they might say, oh, actually, we don't celebrate Thanksgiving because I'm from, and maybe they're from a different country. And then even if they don't celebrate it, you can still have an interesting conversation. So it's a great conversation starter. Maybe there's a community event and you can ask them, do you know anyone running the marathon this weekend? And even if the answer is no, well, then you can still go back and forth. Oh yeah, me neither. I don't like sports too much. Oh, what do you like? And then it will naturally evolve. Movies are a great choice. There's always a new movie or a new Netflix show or even a new popular YouTube video. And you could ask them, have you seen the new Star Wars movie yet? And even if they say no, oh, what kind of movies do you like? Oh, you don't like movies? You like music? What kind of music do you like? And the conversation can naturally evolve. Just remember that small talk should be boring and non-controversial. Of course, elections are topical events, but you don't want to talk about elections when you're having small talk with a stranger or someone in the elevator. You should not ask them, did you vote yet? Who did you vote for? That is inappropriate for small talk. Our final category, the weekend, something everyone loves talking about. Now keep in mind, if this is on a Tuesday, you can talk about the last weekend. If this is on a Thursday, the future weekend, and if it's on a Wednesday, well, you can decide. You can talk about either one, past or future. So there's always a weekend to discuss. Did you do anything exciting this weekend? Now this is in the past, maybe on a Monday or Tuesday. You can just change this to the future if it's Thursday or Friday. Are you doing anything exciting this weekend? What are you up to this weekend? Native speakers love using this expression. That's in the future. In the past, what were you up to this weekend? Being this past weekend. An easy one. Do you have any plans? Do you have any plans this weekend? Asking for a recommendation or advice, again, even if you don't actually want the recommendation or advice, is a great conversation starter. You can ask, do you know of any events happening this weekend? Or can you recommend? Can you recommend a great Italian restaurant or just restaurant in general or whatever restaurant you want? Or you could ask them, what's your favorite cafe near here? I love asking this question because I get to go to new places I would never find on my own. And I have tried some amazing spots just by asking strangers, oh, what's your favorite restaurant near here? What's your favorite cafe near here? You always learn interesting results. Amazing job with those phrases. You will have so much fun using them to start conversations. Now let's do something different. Let's read a news article together so you can improve all areas of your English at the same time. Let's do that now. First, I'll read the headline, which is a question. Why do parrots talk? I chose this article because I was curious, why do parrots talk? And I decided to turn this into a lesson for you. Now, let me share some alternatives to I don't know, because someone could ask you, why do parrots talk? You could say, I don't know, but you could also say, I have no clue. I haven't the faintest idea. Or my personal favorite, beats me. Why do parrots talk? Beats me. So 3 alternative ways to say, I don't know. Put this one in the comments. Beats me, put that in the comments so you practice this one. Now, don't worry about taking notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can look for the link in the description. Let's continue on and find out why parrots talk. Of all the creatures on Earth, only 2 can produce human language. Humans, us, and birds. Of the few birds that can imitate human speech, parrots are the best at it. Notice here they used few birds. Few birds and a few birds are not the same. So let's look at these sentences. There are few birds that can speak. There are a few birds that can speak. So the only difference is including this article, but it changes the meaning because when we just use few, there's a focus on the lack, so not many. But when we focus on a few, it sounds more positive because there are some. So few, lack, a few focuses on some. Of the few birds, so lack of birds, of the few birds that can imitate human speech, parrots are the best at it. They give TED Talks. I've never seen a parrot give a TED Talk. Have you? They give TED Talks, speak multiple languages, and even front heavy metal bands. So here, this front heavy metal bands, it means they are the leader of that band. As funny as that sounds to imagine that a parrot is the leader of a heavy metal band, this vocabulary is specific to bands. So why can parrots talk when our closer primate relatives cannot? Good question. So our closer primate relatives, those would be apes, monkeys, chimpanzees. Now notice here, cannot. Notice that it's spelled as one word. Native speakers turn this into the contraction can't. But we'll use the non-contracted form, which is cannot, one word. We'll use the non-contracted form if we want to emphasize it. You cannot go to the party. It sounds stronger than saying you can't go to the party. You cannot go to the party. So that's when native speakers use cannot and can't in our everyday speech. Let's continue. Parrots are vocal learners, meaning they grasp sounds by hearing and then imitating them. So grasp means understand. Let's review these examples. I'm sorry, I didn't grasp your explanation. So grasp is a verb. As a language learner, this is something you've probably said before. And then you could say, can you explain it another way? Because I didn't grasp it. Or you could say, I didn't grasp the meaning of the movie. Now, keep in mind, that doesn't mean I didn't understand the words of the movie. I understood the words, but I don't comprehend the meaning of it. And same with the explanation. It doesn't mean that you didn't necessarily know the vocabulary or the words. It's you heard the words, but you're not sure of the meaning. So more of a deeper understanding, a comprehension. Although several other bird species can discern and repeat sounds, parrots are the pros. Pros, this is great. She's a pro. She's a professional. So pro is short for professional. And here, because it's plural, and the plural of one professional is two professionals, that's why you have the S to make it plural. Native speakers frequently use this to compliment someone, to say you're a pro, to be a pro. So a, because it's a noun, a pro. And then here my example, a real pro. So it's just emphasizing it, making it stronger. So try this out. You can say, Jennifer, you're a real pro. Put that in the comments. And what you're saying is your videos are very professional. Your teaching skills are very professional. So it's a way of complimenting me in this case. So thank you very much. Jennifer, you're a real pro. Put that in the comments to practice that. Okay, here, discern. When you discern something, it means you can recognize it, you can distinguish it. We generally use this with our senses. So if the room was very dark, I might not be able to recognize objects. So I see there's an object, but I can't discern it. I can't recognize it. I don't know what it is because it's too dark. So they can discern the sounds. They can recognize and repeat sounds. Very impressive for a bird, for a parrot. Any bird that's a vocal learner has a part of the brain devoted to this called the song system. But in parrots, the song system has two layers: an inner core, common to all avian vocal learners. Avian is another word for bird species. So all bird vocal learners, the category of birds, avian, all avian vocal learners, and an outer shell, which is unique to parrots. Some think that this recently discovered shell is what allows parrots to be such expert mimickers. Oh, mimicking. Children do this so well. When you mimic someone, we'll just imagine a parrot. You say, "Hello, how are you?" I've never had a conversation with a parrot. "Hello, how are you?" And then the bird says, "Hello, how are you?" That was embarrassing. So that's mimicking. Children do this all the time. Young girls, we see our mothers putting on makeup and we sit beside them and we brush our hair and we put on imaginary makeup. And I'm sure young boys mimic their fathers as well by pretending to saw something or do something else. So mimic is another word for imitate. Notice here grammatically that this is a noun. A mimicker is someone who mimics, does the verb, the action of mimicking. Just like a learner, you is someone who learns. So in this case, they're using it as a noun. And I just thought of another everyday example, comedians. Comedians are excellent mimickers. Often they mimic celebrities or politicians in a humorous way. And that's a large part of comedy, is mimicking other well-known people. Maybe you do this just to make your friends or your family laugh. Let's continue. But why do they copy, mimic? That will be another word, copy, mimic. But why do they copy human speech? Beats me. Remember that expression? Beats me. What else? There were two other ones. I have no clue. I haven't the faintest idea. Beats me. My favorite. Peer pressure. Oh, it turns out. Do you know what peer pressure is? Well, your peers are the people in your specific group. So if you're in school, that's your group, and your peers are all the other students. If you're in an English class, your peers are all the other students. So it's the other people in your group. If you're part of a sports team, all those other people on the team are your peers. So when those people pressure you, peer pressure, it turns out parrots naturally try to fit in. Do you know what this means? When you try to fit in, you try to act like your peers. You dress like them, you watch the same movies as them, you listen to the same music as them, because the more similarities you have, the more likely you are to get along and be friends. Now, of course, we all want to fit in. So if it's your first day at school, at work, at a new hobby, you want to find commonalities and similarities. You want to fit in. So parrots want to do that as well. Parrots naturally try to fit in, be it among other parrots, their peers, or other people. Interesting. I added all the notes for you to review. Remember, you can download the PDF in the description. Let's continue. In the wild, Parents use their vocal prowess to share important information and fit in. So here we have that sense of belonging with their peers, their group, with the flock. Oh, so here, a group of parrots is called a flock of birds, a flock of parrots. Prowess, that's a fun word to say, prowess. That means great ability or skill. And in this case, they're limiting it to vocal prowess. So parents have great ability and skill when it comes to their vocals. So for a singer, you could say, for example, Adele, the singer Adele, she has incredible vocal prowess. If you don't know Adele, listen to the song Someone Like You. You will be blown away by her vocal prowess, her vocal skill. Let's continue. Pet parents have all the essential conditions for picking up language. See this phrasal verb, picking up language. When you pick up a language or you pick up a skill, it means you learn that skill, but without consciously studying. So you're just exposed to the language or the skill, and from that exposure, you learn it. You pick up new vocabulary all the time. So you're not sitting at your desk and consciously studying. Maybe you're walking down the street and you hear a conversation in English and you learn a word. You picked up that word. So it's a great way to learn. And apparently that's how parrots learn. Well, of course, they're not sitting down in a classroom and learning English. They just pick it up by mimicking their owners. So what are these essential conditions for picking up language? Time, inspiration, and mental ability. Wild parrots, on the other hand, lack the needed close proximity to speech. So wild parrots, they can't pick up the language. They can't imitate people because they're not close enough to people. And I love this, on the other hand. So this is used to show a contrast. We have 1 point with pet parrots, learning language, picking up language, but then we're going to have a contrast. On the other hand, wild parrots aren't learning the language. Let's review this. It's a little bit long because you need to have a positive before you use on the other hand and then transition to a negative. However, it can be reversed. You can start with a negative on the other hand, and then mention a positive. So here's a positive. Owning a pet parrot is amazing. I love the company and admiring the beauty of my pet. On the other hand, so even before you say anything, I know it's going to be negative because that's what this means. On the other hand, it wakes me up every morning at 4 a.m. with its vocal prowess. Okay, now you don't have to, but you can start the positive with on the one hand and then transition to on the other hand. On the one hand, on the other hand. You don't need this part, it's optional, but you can include it. So that will make you sound very advanced when you're expressing a contrast. On the other hand, lack the needed close proximity to speech. Yes, that was the wild parrots. Let's continue. The question is, do these precocious birds know what they're saying? Ooh. Precocious is an adjective meaning showing advanced mental ability, especially for the age, or in this case, the species. But we commonly use this with children. You might say the precocious child easily picks up languages. So the child has advanced mental ability for that child's age compared to that child's peers. And the child easily picks up, learns without consciously trying, picks up languages. The question is, do these precocious birds know what they're saying? Again, what are those 3 ways to say I don't know? Beats me,
I have no clue. I haven't the faintest idea. For parrots, words may have some associations, but not complex meanings. Parrots may associate saying, "How are you?" when someone enters a room, but they likely don't understand that it is a question of one's well-being. So every time someone enters the room, it's common to say hello. So a parrot understands when you enter a room, say hello. But the parrot doesn't necessarily know this is a polite way to greet someone. It just knows new person arrives, say hello. Interesting. I learned a lot today about parrots. I hope you did as well. And of course, more importantly, I hope you learned a lot of advanced vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. So now let me read the article in full from start to finish so you can focus on my pronunciation. Let's do that now. Why do parrots talk? Of all the creatures on Earth, only two can produce human language, humans and birds. Of the few birds that can imitate human speech, parrots are the best at it. They give TED Talks, speak multiple languages, and even front heavy metal bands. So why can parrots talk when our closer primate relatives cannot? Parrots are vocal learners, meaning they grasp sounds by hearing and then imitating them. Although several other bird species can discern and repeat sounds, parrots are the pros. Any bird that's a vocal learner has a part of their brain devoted to this, called the song system. But in parrots, the song system has two layers, an inner core, common to all avian vocal learners, and an outer shell, which is unique to parrots. Some think that this recently discovered shell is what allows parrots to be such expert mimickers. But why do they copy human speech? Peer pressure, it turns out. Parrots naturally try to fit in, be it among other parents or other people. In the wild, parrots use their vocal prowess to share important information and fit in with the flock. Pet parrots have all the essential conditions for picking up language: time, inspiration, and mental ability. Wild parrots, on the other hand, lack the needed close proximity to speech. The question is, do these precocious birds know what they're saying? For parrots, words may have some associations, but not complex meanings. Parrots may associate saying, "How are you?" when someone enters a room, but they likely don't understand that it is a question of one's well-being.
Finally, in this masterclass, let's talk in more detail about how to improve your English speaking skills. And you'll learn how to do that even if you don't have anyone to practice with, because you can improve your English speaking skills alone. And now you're going to get 7 proven strategies and a free action plan to help you do just that. Exercise 1, read aloud. Reading is one of the best ways to improve your speaking. And this makes sense, right? Because think back to your childhood. What was one of your favorite parts of the day when you were a little kid? Story time, being read to. Reading is such an important part of a child's development, and that is how children learn language, by reading. But very important, you must read aloud. When I say aloud, I mean the sound of your voice can be heard in the room. So you're not reading in your mind. You're opening your mouth and you're producing sound. And this is so important because when you read aloud, it helps you process sentence structure. You'll learn vocabulary. You'll practice sounds. and you'll improve your pronunciation. Now, as a bonus tip, make sure you read content you enjoy. If you don't enjoy what you're reading, if it's boring, you're not going to want to do it. And there are millions of books out there. So read something you enjoy, and also read something that's relevant to your daily life, because the vocabulary in that is going to help you when you're communicating about your daily life. Now, don't worry, because I share all of these strategies and all of the resources in a free PDF action plan. So you can look for the link in the description to download the free action plan. Exercise 2, record yourself reading. This will be easy for you because you're reading aloud, so all you have to do is hit record on your phone. Why are we doing this? Well, did you know that most people hate the sound of their own voice? What about you? Does that describe you? I know it definitely described me. When I first started listening to my YouTube videos, I hated hearing my own voice. So if that's you, put that's me in the comments. So if you record yourself reading, it will help you get comfortable hearing the sound of your voice in English. Now, of course, you must listen to the recording. And as you're listening, ask yourself, did I speak clearly? Did I enunciate my sounds? Did I speak too slowly or too quickly? So you can gain valuable feedback by listening to the recording. Exercise 3, listen and repeat. This is also called shadowing. Here's what you can do. Choose any audio or video, including this video, and then listen to one sentence. Hit pause and then instantly repeat the sentence aloud. Remember, aloud. Your voice can be heard in the room. And as a bonus tip to make this fun for you, imagine you're an actor auditioning for your dream role. So you can be a little dramatic. You can try to match the emotion as well. That will make it more engaging, interesting, and fun for you. Now, I have many videos with shadowing exercises, and I'll share the link to the playlist in the free PDF action plan. So again, remember, you can look in the description for the link to download that. Exercise 4, random question generators. Oh, this is one of my favorite exercises. A random question generator simply generates a random question for you. There are many different links, and I share my favorite links in the free PDF. So again, make sure you download that. So here's how it works. As you can see, you just click a button and it gives you a question. Of course, you will answer that question, and then if you like, you can click the button again for another question. And you can make it your goal to practice answering one question a day. And as a bonus, record yourself and listen to the answer. You will get comfortable with your own voice and you will learn so much. You will receive so much feedback that you can use to improve your speaking. Exercise 5, random image generator. So here, these websites generate an image, an interesting, unique image. To practice speaking, you can make simple statements or observations based on the image. Ask yourself, what do you see? And then describe it in detail. What does this image remind you of? And you can describe your memory in detail. How does this image make you feel? Happy, sad, excited, frustrated, and then explain why. And of course, you can always record yourself and listen back. Exercise 6, record a daily message. Notice that keyword, record a daily message. Again, listen back. Here's the important thing. You do not have to send this message to anyone. You could record a daily message for your friend, your spouse, your parents, but you do not have to send it to them. But you do need to listen to it because you're recording it. Again, this will help you get comfortable hearing your own voice in English. So what can you say in your daily message? You can summarize your day. Share the best part of your day. Share one thing you learned today. Share 3 unusual things you saw or heard today. Discuss a problem, but focus on the solution. Or talk about your favorite meal of the day. And you can add anything else on this list. It isn't important what you talk about, it's just important that you talk, record, and listen. Exercise 7, my favorite, the most unique, be the interviewer. Every morning, I listen to podcasts as I'm getting ready, doing my makeup, doing my hair. And I always listen to educational podcasts, but they're interview style. There's the interviewer and the guest. The interviewer is asking questions and the guest is answering questions. And occasionally the interviewer will make a comment based on the answer or share a story or they have a conversation. I want you to listen to any interview, whether it's a podcast or a talk show like The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon or your favorite talk show, and you are going to be the interviewer. Now, I share my favorite podcasts and some talk shows in the free action plan PDF, so again, make sure you download that. So let's say you use The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon because there are so many interviews on YouTube with your favorite celebrities. So find a celebrity you want to interview. Start listening to the interview. Jimmy Fallon will ask a question and then you are going to listen to the guest answer the question, but then pause. And I want you to imagine you're Jimmy Fallon, and I want you to ask a follow-up question based on their answer. You can also share your opinion based on what the guest just said. Do you agree with it, disagree with it? Or you can share your own personal story that relates to whatever the guest said. And that's just one question. Then you can hit play, continue watching the interview, and then again, pause and take over. You become Jimmy Fallon and you're the interviewer. You are going to have so much fun with this exercise. So did you enjoy this masterclass? Do you want me to make more masterclasses just like this? If you do, then put masterclass in the comments below. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And I have another amazing masterclass that I know you'll love, so make sure you watch it right now.